market is looking red. Right now, there are a lot of bullish sentiment, so don't let today fool you. Bitcoin has been recovering. You guys know I've been talking about that quite a lot. But this is interesting. Today's the last Friday of this month, so there is a CME futures expiration today, right? But the CME premium on these Bitcoin futures is sky high. It's higher than what you can buy Bitcoin at on Coinbase or Binance. People are flocking to these futures. The premium is around 9%. That means they are paying 9% above the index price just to buy these futures. Why would they be doing this? Because demand is very, very high. Demand is high because, number one, we are recovering. Number two, no one likes inflation and people want to opt out. And number three, it's a great trade, probably. But that's pretty wild. We haven't seen this kind of premium. You can see the blue line, right? The blue line is actually below, for the most part, has been below the price of Bitcoin. So this has not happened since November of 2021. And November 2021 was the peak for Bitcoin when it was at $69,000. So the demand for Bitcoin right now is the same as it was at $69,000. Think about that. That's insane. That's insane. Okay, we're magnitude, smaller than 69,000, and yet demand is right back up. This is good. This is very, very good. All this talk about inflation, about people's buying power being diminished, this silent tax that exists, right? Will it ever go back down to 2%? We don't know. I have a feeling we won't. We won't be back to 2% because when you increase the money supply by 45%, how can we go back to normal, right? And that is why Satoshi created Bitcoin back in 2009, after the last recession, after not trusting our Fed to do the right thing or to do the right thing for the people. Maybe they do the right thing for the banks, but not for the people, right? And 13 years ago, Satoshi created the Bitcoin symbol. It's wild. It's wild to think. It's wild to think. No one has heard of or heard from Satoshi for how many years, right? But he started something that, if he's still alive, would be pretty proud of, I would say. Something I don't even think that he or she or the group thought would ever happen. But, I mean, it's really amazing to think about within the last 14 years how far Bitcoin has advanced, and we're only getting started still, right? It's crazy. What's also good is we are following patterns from before, right? Coming up from bottom, showed many patterns like this. 2019 it happened, even going back 2016, this has happened. So even though Bitcoin may seem like it has no pattern, randomness, right, affected by the macro conditions, I say that all that's true, but sometimes when you look carefully, you'll see patterns that are very, very similar to previous cycles that we have been through before. This is the first time this has ever happened for Bitcoin, ever. The holders that's been holding for 10 plus years, okay? 10 plus years. The amount of Bitcoin that they hold is now more than the Bitcoin residing on the centralized exchanges today. That's a monumental accomplishment if you think about it, okay? I mean, we know that Bitcoin on exchanges have been dropping. Look at it. It's been dropping since peak of 2020, and it continues to drop. Why does it continue to drop? Because the holders become stronger and stronger. More and more people just buy Bitcoin and just hold it and hodl it and hoard it. And more people have been doing so. Now, even people that's been holding for 10 plus years is holding more than the Bitcoin on the exchanges. Now imagine the next bull run and imagine the next 10 years from here on out. As the reserves keep dropping, and you will see that like bell curve kind of shape, you're going to see Bitcoin reserve keep dropping on exchanges, possibly down to 1 million within the next 10 years, maybe even below that. And then the number of holded Bitcoin continues to rise up. What does that go do to the price? I mean, it's quite easy. Supply and demand. Supply keeps dropping, demand keeps going up. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. And this is just 10 plus. This is 10 plus years too, right? How many people have been holding Bitcoin for 10 years? Well, the ones that have, they're all billionaires now. I'll tell you that, because if you bought Bitcoin 10 years ago, you were buying it at like dollars, under $1 each. Crazy stuff. Everyone is spooked this morning by the PCE inflation data, which shows that key inflation rose about 0.6% in January, which is more than expected. It was expected to be 0.4%, so it actually went up about 0.2% more than expected. And here's a good look of it right here, okay? So if you see this, September PCE, the overall inflation from PCE was 6.3, and then we went 6.1, 5.6, 5.3, but then we went up, boom, to 5.4. Okay, unfortunately, we did not go down or stay the same, right? CPI showed differently. CPI actually showed that inflation, overall headline and core inflation, both went down, just a little bit less than expected, but still both numbers went down. But PCE is showing different. PCE headline inflation went up, and core inflation also went up by 0.1% from December. So, what does this mean? Does this mean that we are effed? Does this mean that Powell has to be a lot more aggressive now with the next rate hike?